So did you know that the Fed could increase interest rates and mortgage rates could actually come down? I know it sounds ass backwards, but stay with me here and I'll try to explain. So recently we've been seeing some pretty tame numbers on the inflation side, but the labor markets have been showing some signs of weakening. Normally you would think that the Fed would either leave rates alone or possibly even drop them. But the bond market is sending out a whole different message. You see, mortgage rates are more tied to the bond market than what the Fed does. And long-term yields on mortgage bonds have been trending higher. And that's been getting investors really nervous and worried about inflation, government borrowing, and whether or not the Fed is really doing enough to keep inflation under control. Now, this is where it gets interesting. If the Fed were to increase interest rates, bond investors might actually view that as a sign that the Fed is serious about keeping inflation under control. And that would increase the demand for those long-term bonds and push those bond yields lower, which potentially would help interest rates. So keep in mind that mortgage rates run about 2% above what the 10-year Treasury bond does. Okay, I know this all sounds crazy. And when I'm not saying that raising interest rates would necessarily be good for the economy. In fact, I really don't think they would. But with the employment picture already weakening, the Fed has to be really careful about how they're going to be reading these labor numbers in the future. So I'm going to be paying really close attention to what the voting members say over the next few weeks. You know, do they remain focused on inflation, or does the weakening job market make them kind of go in a whole different direction? So if you're thinking about buying or selling, this is something that you really want to keep an eye on. And if you ever have any questions or need any help at all, or if you just want me to really explain what the hell I'm talking about, always feel free to reach out. Take care.